It's the 18th of December 2022 in the city of Lusail in Qatar. Now a lot of you already know why I set this date, especially the Argentinians, as Messi had another masterful performance in the World Cup, and that wasn't the only time he did that. In fact, the whole tournament was his masterpiece. After watching him perform in the winter, we surely thought yet again another Ballon d'Or is going into his hands, but over the course of the season, a Norwegian striker was able to break many records while winning the treble. But these two aren't the only players who had incredible seasons. A few other players deserve to be in this conversation as well, so who deserves the Ballon d'Or then? Is it Messi? Is it Haaland? Or is it someone else? Well, you are going to find the answer to this question here as I analyze and look at every metric and stat possible, so sit back, grab some food, and enjoy. Before we really get into the numbers and facts, I'm going to give a little disclaimer for everyone who still doesn't know that the Ballon d'Or is now based on the season, not the year. And the last year's Ballon d'Or, which was given to Karim Benzema, is the first one to go by this rule. So who are we going to choose as the favorites to win it? Well, some people are saying Haaland, some are saying Messi, and the others, well, they are wrong. Jokes aside, I looked through a lot of different articles that talked about this topic, and the majority of them mentioned these two in the top two for the Ballon d'Or. Even though I really think there are some players that would challenge these two, it doesn't make sense to add them because the odds are really against them. We are going to start it off with something that really determines who was the better player in the season: statistics. Because both players are forwards, it's going to make it a lot easier to compare their stats. Now, the most talked about stat and something that has a lot of importance from the fans across the world are goal contributions. Haaland scored twice as many goals, Messi provided twice as many assists, but Haaland had more goal contributions overall. Which makes perfectly good sense because Haaland was all across social media during this season because of his crazy goal scoring stats. Now, what should be considered equally important is the average match rating, where analysts look at every positive and negative move from the player during the game. And Messi is the only player this season to have an average match rating over 8, and Haaland has 7.48. This is a really underrated metric of the Ballon d'Or because it mentions the overlooked stuff in the game which need to be mentioned more. So one has more goal contributions and the other has better match ratings, and that brings the question who was better in the other stats which are analyzed for the forwards. In the goal scoring stats, almost everything went to Haaland except just a few things which make sense to be on Messi's side. Those are goals outside the box. I think I didn't even see Haaland attempt a long shot during all of the Man City games I watched, and I watched a lot of them. The second is free kick goals, and Haaland didn't even take free kicks this season. And the third one is big chances missed, and not only that Haaland missed more, he missed a crazy amount of chances. 52. When you see this, it makes a lot of sense that he was able to score so much goals. But how does it look with the other stats? Basically, every stat with passing and dribbling goes to Messi. Haaland has only the better percentage of accurate chip passes, but the Norwegian plays a chip pass every 5 games in the Premier League, and Messi played 3 chip passes every game in the League 1, but that isn't important. To sum it up, this website created ratings for attributes, and it is pretty one-sided here. Messi is better at the attacking, technical, and creative attributes, and on the tactical attributes they are equal. But is it equal with the club and international success between these players? So one player won the treble, and the other one won the league, the Super Cup, and the World Cup. Now, I don't understand a football fan who would rather win the treble for their club than a World Cup for their country. It's the biggest sporting event in the world, and winning it for your people to celebrate it is really something special. But that doesn't mean it is harder to do, because for the treble you must be the best in the 3 different competitions you are competing in all season long. But Messi didn't only win the World Cup, he also won the league and the Super Cup. So on paper I would easily take Messi's trophies, but to be honest, it is pretty equal in the terms of difficulty. Or is it? Well, Manchester City were the favorites for every of the 3 competitions they played in, and even though it was the same for PSG in the French competitions, Argentina wasn't the favorite to win the World Cup. This, on one side, shows you the pure dominance of this Man City side, and well, on the other side, you still have to win all 3 competitions, so I'm definitely giving the difficulty side just by a margin to Haaland. We are now coming to the most important part of this conversation, as we are going to look at the personal achievements and awards of these players. We are going to start it off with the records. Basically, both broke a lot this season. Haaland broke a lot of Premier League records, one of them being the famous most goals in a season, and he did that in his first season, passing Shearer and Cole. I mean, he was so good this season that I had to make a video just about him for his historical achievements. Haaland is also the fastest player to reach 30 goals in the Champions League. The striker needed only 25 games to reach this milestone. It is absolutely crazy when you compare his goal-scoring abilities at his age against other football legends. Something that I also must mention is that on this graph, we cannot see the all-time top scorer of the Champions League, Cristiano Ronaldo. It is even more absurd that he was able to climb the ranks so high so late in his career. I mean, to be exact, it doesn't go higher than Ronaldo. On the other side, Messi broke many World Cup records and an incredible record in European football. The records at the World Cup are mind-blowing, and I'm gonna name the two most impressive ones. He is the first player ever to be named man of the match in every knockout match of the World Cup, and with that second goal in the final, he became the player with the most goal contributions in World Cup history, passing the GOAT himself, Pelé. Beside that, in this season, he became the player with the most goals scored in European club football, passing Cristiano Ronaldo. Now moving on to the personal awards, the Norwegian won the Golden Boot, FVA Footballer of the Year, Premier League Player of the Year and Young Player of the Year, basically being the main man in English football this season. The Argentinian on the other side won, well, this is going to be long, isn't it? The World Cup Golden Ball, FIFA Best Men's Player Award, 3 different EFFHS awards, and Messi is the first athlete to take home both the Laureus World Sportsman and Laureus World Team of the Year award in the same year, basically being the main man in world football this season. The records and personal awards go easily to Messi, but is this fair to Haaland, as he didn't even have a chance to compete at the World Cup? Well, he was a part of the Norwegian squad which failed to qualify for the World Cup, but we can't purely put all the fault at Haaland. Even though the majority of this video has gone to Messi's side, I found a solution to end this question for the Ballon d'Or. Well, at the end of the day, we can't forget the roots of this sport. The game of football is called the beautiful game, joga bonito. So who did play more beautifully this season? Easy, Messi, right? Well, how to explain that? The best way to show this is heat maps. These are the heat maps of Erling Haaland in the Premier League and Champions League, the majority of the movement being seen in the opposite box. And now look at Messi's heat maps in the League One and the World Cup. I'm not taking anything away from Haaland. He did his job as a striker so good that we didn't see something like this ever, but we are comparing him to one of the best players to play this game. Leo Messi did everything offensively to win the League One and the World Cup, and you can see that in his heat maps. He was everywhere on the field, and when you compare the heat maps of these two, it just looks unreal. Lionel Messi is winning his 8th Ballon d'Or this year, and if you still say that football is rigged after this,
stop it. Get some help.
Now the question is, after he wins it, does this officially make him the greatest player of all time? Make sure to leave your opinions in the comments. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and feel free to subscribe if you did.